Let me start here. You've been here 17 days?
Day 17 today.
All right, so what are the biggest things that you've learned so far? What's jumped out at you as a civilian who now suddenly is in government service?
Well, I gotta be honest with you, I had a lot of emotions the last day I was in the operating room, the day before my Senate confirmation hearing. And so it's an entirely different world here. I am on a listening tour. We're talking to the career scientists. We're trying to make sure they have all the resources they need to do their job well. We're trying to change the culture here to make it more of a teamwork culture. It's been very siloed. Each of the centers has developed their own fiefdom with their own communications department and lawyers and lobbyists for Congress and IT departments. And the IT systems don't talk. They're on different systems. So that's why you have, VAERS and FAIRS and CARES and 10 different adverse event reporting systems. We probably need one really good one. So I'm doing an inventory right now, trying to assess the lay of the land. And then we're also trying to change the culture to a culture of teamwork, the scientific gold standard and common sense working together. And that is our goal right now.
In medicine in general, there's this divide, a push-pull right now between sort of the old school doctors and the new functional medicine doctors, the new MAHA push. And there's some resistance between the two. I don't have to tell you that. Are you seeing any of that reflected here? Do you think the folks here are open-minded to MAHA and functional medicine and doing things a different way?
We need both. We need, as somebody who is a highly subspecialized pancreatic specialist, we need people who think broadly and think functionally and think about the fact that 90% of type 2 diabetes is curable by changing what you eat. Changing what you eat can actually take care of a certain type of rash that somebody develops, almost as good as some of these expensive biologics in certain circumstances. So we need people who think differently. We need fresh new ideas. We need the old guard to ensure that we hold to rigorous scientific methodology, and we need fresh new ideas at the same time. So we're trying to bring all of that together now, and people have forgotten that the F in FDA stands for food. And so that is a major focus with Secretary Kennedy in this administration.
Right, we're always so focused on the D, especially on the heels of COVID, and we think of the FDA, most of us, especially on the right, poorly, because we feel like we were railroaded in doing things we didn't want to do. And especially, before COVID, there was the opioid crisis and the FDA's role in that. So it has a bad rap, I think, generally, with many in the country. So how do you turn that around?
Well, I mean, we're still reeling back from some of the disastrous healthcare corruption that the government was involved in. The food pyramid, one of the greatest pieces of misinformation put out there that has informed school lunch programs, that has informed what people define as healthy. And so we now have a group that's reevaluating the nutrition guidance. We have a MAHA commission that is going to be putting out a massive report that doesn't just talk about calories in, calories out. It talks about food ingredients and chemicals that don't appear in nature, that are going down the GI tracts of our nation's children every day, nonstop. And it may not be one ingredient that is driving some of these chronic diseases. It may not be one ingredient involved in attention deficit disorder. It may be the cumulative burden of all of it. So we are now taking a much wider view. And you mentioned the opioid issue. That probably is the quintessential example of what's wrong with a cozy relationship when the regulator agency is captured by the industry. The person who literally authorized OxyContin then went to work for Purdue Pharma.
Curtis Wright.
Of it. Exactly. And
he worked here. He authorized OxyContin. He approved a label that suggested it wasn't really that addictive, if at all. And then after he left here, he went to work for Purdue Pharma, the very company he helped.
Sweetheart deal. And that label was illegal, in my opinion. It was an indication for chronic pain, for round-the-clock, long-term use, and it was based on a 14-day study. And so that kind of mistake can result in 1 million Americans losing their lives. And when you don't have good post-approval monitoring, as this agency has not had, you discover things decades later. We discovered Vioxx killed maybe 38,000 plus Americans years after it was approved. We discovered 1 million Americans died of opioids and overdoses over a decade after the OxyContin label was given. Why weren't we monitoring in real time people who were getting it immediately after approval? In part, the answer to that question is we couldn't do it. We didn't have the data. It was too sophisticated. You'd have to have everybody registered in a study. Now we have giant big data from electronic health records nationally. Now we can have our researchers and universities go in there and look at everyone who's taken a new medication matched to somebody who's similar who is not taking that medication, and look at the adverse event rate and ask, is it working? Is there a safety signal? When you don't do that, people get suspicious, and they are suspicious about the cozy relationship sometimes that results in approvals, and they're also suspicious when they hear stories and they don't have hard data.
You've heard about tariffs recently, plus inflation, supply chain disruptions. It's a lot, but there is a silver lining that most people missed. President Trump specifically exempted gold and silver bullion from the tariff talk. The administration preserved the ability to diversify into precious metals. If you are concerned about your savings, consider a free consultation with a Birch Gold precious metals specialist. The first step is to text MK to 989898 and receive your free no-obligation info kit on gold. Learn how to hold gold and silver in a tax-sheltered account. Birch Gold will help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a gold IRA for no money out of pocket. With an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau and thousands of thankful customers, consider texting MK to 989898. Again, text MK to 989898 to claim your free info kit right now. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you just saw, hit the subscribe button for more clips and full episodes.